Alright, you guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing some work on my dad's Mercedes here. This is a 2008 C350. So if anybody watching this that has a Mercedes that's, new to this channel, normally what I do is I do most of my videos on my Ford Ranger. So this week on Thursday I'm going to be taking this thing down to school and doing an in-depth oil change video. And then my dad, his username is pioxen, so it'll be up on his channel for an in-depth oil change on this, and I'm just recording it, and then he'll be doing the voiceover. But today we're going to be doing the spark plugs on this thing. So we're going to be covering a few things. We're going to be covering how to take this engine cover off, because I know that's a pretty big topic on the Mercedes forums, as well as just changing the spark plugs and everything else. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so I went ahead and turned the car around so we can get some better light in here. But the first thing you want to do is get this engine cover off. So the first piece is an outer piece, so you want to pull up right here and then pull out. And it's just held in by these little clips right here inside of these little rubber mounts. And the next thing you want to do is you're going to want to remove the dual intake tubes off of this front housing here, and then this hose, and then this whole thing pops up. Alright, and just like that we have one intake off, and there's the other. And then we're going to take this hose off from up here. Just simply twist and pull. Kind of get that out of the way, and then this whole assembly just pops up with those same style clips that were up in the front. So let's get you guys situated. And just like that, and this whole piece comes up. Alright, and so now you can see that you have full access to all 6 spark plugs. If you have this, I think it's W204 engine, something like that, I don't know. So, but needless to say, this is a 350, so the 3.5 liter V6 that Mercedes stuffed this engine into a lot of vehicles. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and get started with the next step. Alright, so this next step is, it's not really mandatory, but it's a really good idea and good practice to follow. So, you're going to want to get some compressed air, whether it's that stuff in the can or whatever, and just spray around the coils, the spark plug coils, the ignition coils, so that it may look clean under here, but there could be a fair amount of dust, and you don't want this stuff falling into your combustion chamber. So we're just going to give all these things a quick blast really quick. Alright, so next what we're going to do is just start disconnecting all of the coils. And so the way these clips work, you have these little white plastic tabs here, gray, whatever they are, and you just want to get a really small screwdriver and pull them out like that. And then this whole harness, once you wiggle it a little bit, this whole harness just wiggles off. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so not only do you have to pull this out, but you also have to push up, because then it lifts up the little tang that holds it. Alright, so next what we're going to do, I have all the coils disconnected now, and we're going to just do this individually because we don't want to get anything cross-mixed or anything else like that. So we're just going to do, plus it's always a good idea just to have one cylinder in the engine open at one time. So you have 2 Torx T30 bits that you need to take off, and see if I can get you in an angle here. Hopefully. Something like that. So you've got one basically here and here that we need to take off. Be sure to place these screws where they won't get lost. And give it a simple twist. And there we go. So this is the ignition coil. Looking real good. So let's take the spark plug out next. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to hit this thing with a blast of air one more time in case anything fell in there, because like I said, we don't want it getting inside the combustion chamber. Alright, next you want to get yourself a 3/8 spark plug socket. We've got a nice little extension and a universal up here so that there's no chance of me cracking the porcelain, so that all my movement is taken up by this universal and not on top of the spark plug itself. Alright, and there we go. Which, yikes, look at all that rust in there. That's pretty gnarly. So I guess that kind of explains why it was making a little bit of noise on the way out, but you can see how rusty that is. So yummy. So, alrighty, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to go grab the other spark plugs really quick, and then we're going to gap them. Alright, so let's go ahead and compare the spark plugs. So I went ahead and picked these up from the dealer, which is always just a good idea. And so these are actually from Mercedes. They're built in Japan, but that's what Mercedes calls for. They also do call for Bosch, which is a a German company. But so, which you can see, they are exactly the same in terms of dimensions and everything else. So we're good there. Now we're going to go ahead and gap this, and I'm going to go look up the gap spec on this really quick. Alright, so after looking in the technical data section of the owner's manual, we can see the spark plug type, which is the same across the board. And so if we come here, Mercedes C350, the spark plug electrode gap is 0.031 exactly. There's no variation. It has to be 0.031. So we're going to go ahead and gap that really quick. Which it looks like these already come pre-gapped, unless I just got lucky. So, alright. So let's go ahead and get the spark plug in. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and grab our socket. We're going to slide this in until it clicks. Just like that. Very carefully. Now, one of the tricks that we learn at school, I'm an auto tech student at Oxnard College, is to first turn it backwards until you hear the threads drop into place so that there's no chance of cross-threading. There it goes. Oh, maybe not. There we go. And you'll feel it click, and there's going to be like a little indent, and it's extra precaution just to make sure that you're not going to cross-thread this, because this head is aluminum. So once you cross-thread it, I mean, you could put a new thread in with a tap and die tool, but that just takes a long time. So now we're going to go ahead and put the universal back on, set this guy to tighten, and just snug her up. Okay. Now I'm going to go look up the torque spec on this guy really quick. Alright, so the torque on this guy is 15 to 18 foot-pounds. I'm going to go on the little bit tighter side of 18. So I've got my torque wrench set to 18 foot-pounds, and we're going to go ahead and tighten this guy nice and snug. There we go. And we're going to do it one more time to make sure it's good. See, we had a little bit of we had about 1/8 of a turn left. So now we're going to go ahead and just pull. Oh, damn it. I hate it when this happens. There we go. Alright, so it's always a good idea too to take the torque off your torque wrench so it doesn't skew the reading. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab some more dielectric grease, clean the old stuff up and put some new stuff in, as well as clean the connections both in here and on the harness, and put some dielectric grease in there as well, just to make sure that everything is running as good as possible and we always have a good connection. Alright, so I'm going to be using CRC's QD electronic cleaner for this, and just simple, you know, spray on and let it dry and then put some dielectric grease in there. So we're going to clean this connection out. Just like that. I'm not really going to worry about spraying. But if you are doing this and you're not changing your spark plugs, make sure that there's no power going to this, so always disconnect it. It's just always a good thing to keep in mind. And then while we're letting that dry, we're going to go ahead and hit this harness just to clean all the junk out that might be in there. Alright, let me get a rag. We're just going to clean up all this excess dielectric grease on the outside, as well as the inner collar of it. Looking good. Give it a few taps to make sure everything's clean and dry, which looking really good in there now. So now we're going to go ahead and take, this is CRC's Dielectric Grease Technician Grade, and I love it because it's pressurized. So we're just going to put a little squirt in here. So right about, I don't know if you can see that, but right about there is all you need. So just enough to get over the spark plug itself, and then we're going to put a little bit in here just to cover the connections, so just like that. And again, this is just to make sure that no corrosion or anything else like that gets in the way of the PCM making a signal to the spark plug. Alright, just like that. So we're going to start out by hand threading these, because like I said, these are aluminum. We don't want to cross-thread with the impact. Granted, it is only a 1/4 inch, but you'd be amazed how fast aluminum strips. Alright, then very gently we're just going to snug these down pretty evenly. And we'll torque them a little bit. Alright, and we're set. So now I'm just going to leave all these connections disconnected for now, and then once I do the rest of the 5, then we're going to go ahead and do that. But you know, that's why I wanted to go ahead and put that dielectric grease in there with the spark plug off the engine to make it easier to get that stuff in there. So now you basically have the idea of how to do all the other ones. There's no other variations in how to do the other 5. So I'm going to do that really quick, and then we'll come back and we'll take it from there. Alright, so now all 6 spark plugs are replaced. All the coils have dielectric grease and have been cleaned. There's all 6 of the old ones, all looking nasty as crap. So let's go ahead and start plugging these coils back in. And so I cleaned, like I said on the, or like I showed you, I cleaned these harness connectors as well to make sure that we get a solid, clean connection going on in here. Okay, so basically the installation is just the exact opposite of taking it off. You're going to slide this on, you're going to hear a click, and then you just push this little gray clip forward, and then it locks in. And you're going to feel a little bit of resistance pushing it in, but that's just because the dielectric grease that we put in is just kind of squishing around in there, which is what you want. So, and I mean, you don't need to put globs of the stuff in, you just need to put enough to cover the connectors. Alright, so that side's all good. Let's do this side now. Just like that. And you always want to go till you hear it click, because you don't want this thing coming undone on you on the freeway or something. There we go. Bonus. All right, we are looking good now. So now we're going to go ahead and put the engine cover back on, and then we'll be ready to start this thing up. All right, so I got the rear part of the engine cover and intake assembly right here. So we're just going to slide this over. Make sure that this hose right here doesn't get pinched. Slide it over, and you want to use this little heat sink up here as a center mark to make sure that you get this thing centered right. So I'm going to go ahead, get our intake ducts kind of lined up, and then get them slid on. Make sure they're fully seated, just like that. And then you just push down. The rear ones, you kind of have to give them a little bit extra motivation, but it'll self-center once you get it over this, so that's nice. And then we're going to go ahead and reattach this hose. Make sure it gets on there all the way. There we go. Fully seated. So, yeah, always like to take extra precautions, since A, this is not my car, and B, it's a German car. So, anything goes wrong on these things, they usually cost a fortune. So, let's go ahead and get the front piece. And they have these little slots right here. These little slots right here. You want to line those up with the little fins that are in the top piece. And then you simply push down and it snaps into place. And we're all done. So, and like I say in my Ranger videos, you know, the beautiful part about making sure that you do a really good job by the book and everything else is the way that it looks when you're done. It doesn't even look like you touched it besides cleaning it, you know. That's what I love. And so I'm gonna get all this stuff cleaned up, all the old spark plugs and whatnot, and get all this dielectric grease off the shrouding here, and we're gonna go ahead and fire her up and see how she does. All right, so let's go ahead and start her up and see how she runs. Perfect. You're running smooth. So, you know, this is a really good powertrain that Mercedes. Oh, that was just the cam timing. I was like, what the hell was that noise? Yeah, this is a really solid powertrain that Mercedes put together on here. You know, it's just a fantastic powertrain. Makes tons of torque and power for the small engine that it is. So yeah, she's running good, nice and strong. So, and this car only has 95,000 miles on it, so you know, it's getting to around that time where we needed to, you know, replace the spark plug. So figured, what the hell. So yeah, so like I said, if you're an owner of this car, like I said, I'm gonna be filming. It's not gonna be on this channel, but I'm gonna be filming an oil change, an in-depth oil change video on how to do an oil change on this from underneath the car. There are two different ways to do it, but I'm gonna be doing the more traditional way. And my you know, pioxen. This is his car. It'll be up on his channel, which he's got some more videos on this car for simple maintenance stuff. And yeah, so look out for that video. It'll probably be up. I don't really know when he's gonna edit it, but I know I'm shooting the video on Thursday. So yeah, take care, guys. Thanks for watching. Feeling generous, hit that like button, and yeah, take care, guys. Thanks for watching.